Yeah, that is always going to be a concern, and also concerning for the TA is the level of sort of lockdown Undying have right now. There's sort of multiple stuns, slows, things of that nature that might sort of slow the TA in those fights. So might be a point of concern. Of course, we'll have to. Oh God, we'll have to wait and see exactly where the TA plays, either at the 1 or the 2. Meanwhile, on the Undying side, there is your hero for Tomato, the Spectre, coming out here. We really don't see a whole lot of Spectre nowadays. It's been banned out a couple of times in this event, but I do believe this is the first time it's actually been picked through the first sort of 3+ days of play.
When even seeing it banned out, we've only seen it banned once or twice because you don't really think about it. It's always in the back of your head, especially the teams that are first picking Leshrac. We usually see the Spectre come out, or the Spectre ban come out then. And it does feel a little bit awkward. Something with this Magnus that I've still struggled to see is what hero do you pair with it? Sort of the ultra carries don't need to be empowered right now, especially with how much teams value heroes like Medusa. You don't really have that sort of easy pick when it comes to finding a melee hero that very easily slots into your position. But in this game, AA is going to cry. Every single haunt, you're going to find this Ancient Apparition in the backline. And once you take out that AA, you're going to find a lot of the damage sort of lacking on the Hokori side. And sort of similar to the previous game, if you're not able to burst those Undying heroes pretty much outright, they're going to escape. They have Untouchable, they have the Stomp, they have the Skewer. They can sort of evade your damage. They aren't going to die. They're going to reset. They're going to come back. And I feel Kokori, the pressure's on them again. They need to find a sort of active hero, I'm assuming for Vitaly, to keep the Spectre down, but also be able to make plays and finish off, sort of top off the damage on a lot of these other heroes. Because as of right now, I don't think they have enough. If the Snapper is going mid, you will sort of have that timing where you have that blink, you have that ag chart around the 20-minute mark. But that's at the 20-minute mark. You have to wait for a lot of your damage, where I feel like you need to round it out with something coming from Vitaly.
And that sort of takes us back to earlier in the draft. We were talking about the fact that Undying had so heavily focused in on that off-lane role, taking out really 4 or 5 straight heroes to fill that pause 3 role. So they, to a certain extent, sort of had this planned out. We see a couple of extra options even removed there in Phase 3 with the Necro as well as the DP both being removed here. So this is sort of dire straits for Hokori. They're in a position where they need that sort of big potential playmaking hero in the offlane, and the options are extremely limited as Undying go in for the Storm Spirit pick with that final selection.
And I'm assuming this is going to be a safe lane TA as well, but you'd ban out the Necro because it's just a hard counter to the Spectre. Spectre needs to be in those creep waves, so Necro is just the perfect counter in that respect, as well as just having a high HP pool for an Agi carry. And you take out the Death Prophet because you can't afford to give up those objectives for free. And Death Prophet would slot in perfectly, has a good lane versus the Spectre, and lets you force down those towers with sort of that brute force, that guaranteed play that just happens to work out. That's why we used to see Death Prophet picked up first phase almost consistently because of that strength from the hero. It's almost a guarantee that heroes are going to fall if the Death Prophet's on the map. So thinking about what Vitaly needs to play now, it really is difficult to come up with the hero. I was thinking maybe you pick up the axe, maybe you try to get a fast blink dagger. It's a hero that is sort of okay versus the Spectre, but if Tomato's on point, any blink initiator is going to struggle. And I think with the Centaur, Hokori banning him out themselves, it would have been great for their side. But yeah, they're going to go for the axe, but he needs to get so much out of that lane. He needs to have such a good axe game. We really need like mode Seb or something, because if he falls behind, I think that is the sort of starting point for Hokori's lineup to fall apart.
Yeah, we need Seb in terms of gameplay, maybe not quite in terms of social media, but yeah, the axe, it doesn't feel great. You outlined the problems for him, but it's the best that I think they're going to be able to reasonably do here. So I mean, they go for it, and we can hope for the best for Vitaly. Obviously, he was in a similar position in Game 1, sort of being relied upon for that initiation, and the Slaughter didn't quite manage to get it done for his team, but it's a different situation here. We'll see what he can do. If Vitaly can get a lot out of the lane, as you mentioned, get that sort of Blink Vanguard play up and running, then there is obviously going to be hope for him to be a playmaker, especially alongside that Tiny. That duo can certainly do quite a bit, so we mentioned in Game 1, maybe they try to play a little bit faster, a little bit more aggressively. I think this time it's not a maybe. They absolutely have to. They need to try and get in onto the Spectre and the Storm really as early as they possibly can.
And I really, from the Hokori side, want to see a more consistent game plan. I think what really took them off guard was those 1-2 deaths from Analog in the previous game, where every single person on that team, the game plan was we get these BKBs, we get this farm, we do whatever. We don't need them right now. We've got this Aegis, we've got this advantage, we're fine. And then Undying blow you wide open. I think if Hokori take it sort of a more measured response, they're going to be able to have a much better time, a much more consistent idea versus Undying.
Game 2 giving them a shot at redemption here, so we'll see if they can pull it off as we are going to be loading in. No shenanigans with the lobby setup this time, so I don't think we're going to need another remake. We should be good to go. Did I jinx it? We've got a pause coming out, but I think this one's just on the player side as opposed to anything admin-wise. No one DC'd, though, on the side of Undying, so hopefully this is not going to be too big of an issue for them, but we're not quite ready to get things underway just yet.
Yeah, and I really think we have Dubu with this Elder Titan. He needs to be really cautious in that top lane. It is a double melee versus... Or wait, Tiny's got mid items. El Misho is playing 4 Snapfire. Oh, okay. They are swapping it around, and it makes sense, especially once you see the Storm Spirit, but now ever more present, you need Analog to have a good timing. I think if he can rely on himself, that is going to be the hero that's going to sort of mosey on up to the Spectre's lane, try and shut her down. And if that sort of occurs 1 or 2 times, we see Spectre, while you are going to be empowered, you don't have the fastest game plan. You are going to need to wait. But again, Undying, they want that. With this Storm, it sort of indicates that once they get that Orchid, maybe they'll get a little bit more aggressive. But they want to farm. They want to do whatever they can. They've got 3 incredibly good cores at farming, even though the Spectre will, it's sort of a slow burn. Whereas Lumiere on that TA, oh,
Uh-oh.
I think he's just dead.
Yeah, slowed up by the enchant first. Shockwave pulls him back in. The
Oh,
meld.
no.
Sentry is there. They get the vision down, and Lumiere will be taken out. Bryle is going to be able to get the kill as well. Everyone on Undying just sort of commits to the body blocks to let the Storm get the credit for it, and that's going to be some early progress towards that bottle. So that goes about as poorly as it possibly could have for Hokori. They lose their carry, and they give up a kill to the opposing mid laner before the horn even sounds.
And we'll have to see if Hokori are going to be able to stack a lot for Lumiere. And a lot of vision actually placed out. I wonder if we're going to see Moon Meander sort of make that rotation. I'm not sure if with this ward they were able to scout him out having something to place, but I do like this time around, when you see Moon Meander on this Enchantress, you do block up that medium camp. You don't give him sort of an easy access into your own jungle. I think they've blocked up 2 of their camps here, and that's exactly what you need to do. Something that they didn't do in the previous game that I definitely think they could have done better. And Moon Meander does have a sentry. We'll see if he's actually able to catch that one out. Let's see. Might wait for the camps to spawn, and if he does have to make the long walk all the way over to his own camp, it will make it feel a little bit worse. But we're actually starting in carry versus carry situation here. They don't know about the ET and the Spectre just yet.
Yeah, they brought Tomato down here, and this is also a bit of an aggro try setup, so Undying may be able to catch Lumiere by surprise again. We'll have to wait and see. The TA... Oh, okay, gonna play far enough back where he shouldn't be in trouble, and that may have been part of the reason why Moon Meander was holding that sentry, in case they did get an opportunity, as they do have one here, but it's not onto the TA, it's onto Gardex Ancient Apparition, as he is just not... he's not tanky. He will be taken down, and now the TA immediately TPs out. Yeah, he does not want to be in that situation, but now you got Lumiere and Vitali both here. The Axe is going to have to clear out, as he's sitting in the tree line for now. TP's ready, but he hasn't left just yet. So, efficiency-wise, this is going to get a little uncomfortable. There is literally no one down bot for Hokori at the moment, but... I mean, we would assume Vitali's going to be the one to make the rotation, but there we go. Okay. He had been sort of sitting around for a little while, but he is going to make the TP down now. But as soon as he TPs down, guess who goes top? The Tomato's going to switch up as well.
And not able to make that call, he gives a little bit of an empower to Tomato before they do end up swapping over. And now El Misho does get to stay top. We'll see if they get a little bit aggressive onto Tomato while there are 3 heroes stacked up here, but this feels like Undying. They've done this before. If he does go down here, Tomato will be pretty sad, but I think he might be able to just walk this one off. And we'll see if Moon Meander decides to sort of mosey on up top. I think he wants to stay down here as long as he can, but yeah, he will TP, try to get a creep before he does rotate all the way top. But Undying, they've done this before. If they can get a little bit of an advantage through these sort of wacky lane switches, they always seem to get it. And now that Saberlight's in a 1v1 versus Vitaly, Vitaly will be able to get at least his
Oh
Vanguard in sort of
my
fast
god,
fashion.
Gardic. He's
Yeah.
just getting chunked. Dubu with that bonus damage just destroys him. Plus 83 with that Titan, or excuse me, with the Spirit. And they will be able to find that kill. Gardic taken down. Lumiere in trouble as well. Good cookie
Nice.
out from El Misho, though. Clutch play to save his buddy. Without that, the stomp comes through and Lumiere is almost certainly dead.
And while his CS isn't the worst on the TA, it feels like you're going to lose this tri lane. You don't have the best heroes. You've got 3 ranged heroes. Dubu is always going to be able to get that almost 3-man spirit. And yeah, Lumiere will just TP bottom again. They're going to chase this TA around continuously. This is sort of strange. And I feel like Tomato's the big winner here. He's been getting all of the sort of soul XP whenever these lane swap ups sort of end up happening.
Yeah, the musical lane's always a little uncomfortable for the team that's sort of forced into it, but Lumiere does have a little bit of time there to try and grab some farm for himself, while middle lane, Analog just straight up wins it against Ryle.
The second time, Ryle gives up the bag again. It's a freebie.
Wow, yeah, we saw that in game 1 as well. It's just sort of uncharacteristic. Normally, Ryle doesn't really make those kinds of mistakes that early, but back-to-back matches where he's not quite showing the proper respect to that burst damage, and Analog makes him pay. That's a pretty big kill for him in that middle lane. First one on the board for Hokori as well, but now Ryle, he's back into the lane. He's a little bit pissed off, so he's going to try and get some damage in, but Analog not going to fall into that trap. However, Moon Meander, this is not a great spot. In the west side jungle, he is going to get spotted out here. Can they actually bring him down, though? They don't have the damage just yet, and they actually don't have the damage at all. Moon Meander walks away. Dubu's here to try and set up for a kill, and Gardic, Gardic gives it up to Ryle as well to sort of make it even worse. So Ryle gets his second kill of the game, and Gardic just continues to be the punching bag here early on. That is 3 deaths for him in the first 4 minutes.
And Brown, with the little glyph play mid, honestly, sort of salvaged it. And Tiny, you need so many items. You are able to sort of snag up this bounty rune. And Saberlight will start to languish in the bottom lane just a little bit because he is sort of being left to his own devices. But at the same time, Vitaly had to make the long walk. You were able to sort of get aggressive. And Tomato sort of got ditched here.
Ryle fighting mid, Tomato in trouble top. This is starting to get a little bit awkward for Undying. Tomato's going to try and sort of make the great escape here, and he does have Dubu coming in. The stomp will connect. Maybe Dubu can find a kill. Yeah, El Misho. And one more hit will bring him down. Vitaly, there it is. Okay. Vitaly had the call, doesn't go for it, and now, wait, he's in trouble. Yeah. Gonna pop that call now, but he's surrounded by heroes, and he'll be taken down. That, I can't really think of a more eloquent phrase than just saying that sucked for Hokori. They go in looking for the kill onto Tomato. Instead, they miss that kill. They lose 2 of their own, and they just didn't quite have it. They needed a little bit more onto Tomato in terms of both control and damage, and they can't make it happen.
Well, a big reason you pick up this axe is because you do have sort of a guaranteed lane. You're always able to get a pretty good time on that ring of health. You're able to be aggressive with that battle hunger, zone heroes off of the wave. And Tomato will definitely get zoned off the wave, but 5 minutes in, you'd usually hope to see your axe level 5.5, creep cutting behind the tower, playing around with the carts, where he feels like he's really suffered more than anyone else on his team. Analog's going to get a few kills here, it looks like, though.
Yeah, Moon Meander will be taken down. Analog comes in for it, and now Dubu... Oh,
well, he's fine.
Yeah, they don't actually really pay much attention to him. He's just going to walk away. Okay. Analog used... Oops, excuse me. Analog used pretty much everything he had for that initial kill, so he can't really go in again, but now he might be in some trouble. Ryle is going to try and hit him up with some damage with Dubu coming in as well. Stomp will connect. They're going to try to set up onto him with another Remnant, and Analog, he's not getting himself out of that one. Even the Shockwave in from that Satyr Tormentor to help out, and that is a very nice rotation from Undying, as they will be able to get that kill, and Ryle is the one to get the credit for it. That's his 3rd now on the Storm.
And while Vitaly would definitely be able to do whatever, again, they're just playing aggressively on him. This is a much slower axe, and at the same time, Lumiere does get the pressure off of him. I think with Undying's early setups, though, Saberlight, the farming heroes get to farm versus each other, and you really shut down the hero that needed to be active on his team. And that's where Analog, yeah, he's going to be forced to rotate, and maybe this works, but this is all just space for Ryle.
El Misho already starting to drop low here, so he may just end up being sort of the sacrifice, but Analog comes in, Avalanche toss onto 2, Moon Meander and Dubu both dropping low. El Misho will still fall, but the Enchantress has got to get the hell out of here. Analog, though, trying to chase. Can he catch up in time? No, Moon
Nice
Meander
juke.
snakes through the trees, and Analog doesn't have the vision any longer. So that turns into really just a one-for-one trade on the supports. It is going to go in Hokori's favor, though, by nearly 100 gold on that play. So, meh, it wasn't exactly the massive triumph Analog may have been hoping for, but
Oh,
it's a
mid.
rotation for a kill, but now mid, yeah, Gardic once again in some trouble. Bryle has that ball lightning, but he doesn't actually have the damage. He's stunned up by the cold feet, but
Oof.
Almisho not quite able to time that one up correctly as Bryle zips out just as that cookie stun was going to connect.
And we do see Bryle with this sort of ancient double null build on Storm Spirit, where hopefully you'd be having some Orchid components at this point. So he's trying to get a little bit more active for his team. Oh, the Fairy's Trinket and the Arcane Rune will definitely help. He's going to probably, yeah, pocket one charge and then maybe swap it out. But not having that Orchid as fast as he can, this is a Storm Spirit that's going to be able to make a few more plays on the map. If Undying can secure him a few more runes here, this is going to be a very active Storm Spirit.
Okay. Stomping from Dubu into the Vortex, but at that point Analog, yeah, he's a little bit too tanky. Bryle doesn't quite have the damage or the mana to make that one happen. But what's going on here,
Gardic
Gardic?
needs a TP.
He's been spotted.
Oh, God.
Impetus. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Gardic, he's just one shot away from dying, and that's going to... Nope. Uphill miss. Gardic lives.
Dead. The creeps.
Well, I mean, yeah, he doesn't live. He dies, but he doesn't die to an opposing hero, and
Now
that's what
Tomato.
matters. But Tomato going to have to get himself away. Moving through the tree line here, Almisho doesn't really have any spells left to commit, so Tomato may be okay for now until reinforcements arrive, and those reinforcements will be moving in the form of Moon Meander, who has a DD rune. I don't really know how much that helps, but it does get the Spectre away, but now Moon Meander should be sacrificed. Hit up by that call. Analog even comes in for the Avalanche, but Vitali will get the kill with the Culling Blade. So Moon Meander gets taken down. On the opposite side of the map, Lumiere was able to find himself a bit of a solo pick onto the mag as well. So 2 kills across the map for Hokori, coming at just about the perfect time for them.
And it felt really strange. I'm assuming without the skewer, he just got caught in maybe 2 TA traps. He was trying to farm that large camp. I'm assuming he got the pull off and then sort of contesting Lumiere there, but he just sidebladed him down. It was really cut and dry. A kill I don't think Saberlight thought he was going to give up either.
And that kill does get Lumiere the Dragonlance here early, so emphasizing both the extra attack range and just the straight-up stats that Lance will give her as well, as Almisho may be in a little bit of trouble here, but Bryle and Dubu are going to try to get onto Vitali instead. Tomato going to haunt his way in. Nice Split Earth coming through, though. Or Earth Splitter, excuse me, as Vitali will take some extra damage, and Bryle will bring him down. That did allow Almisho to get away, but if you're Undying, I don't think you care. You got the more valuable of the kills there, taking out that axe for the second time here. So Vitali's progress is getting slowed up a little bit once again. He's still above Saberlight on the other side net worth-wise, but he's not really getting any progress towards that Blink Dagger anytime soon.
Well, and at the same time, you actually see Bryle. He's going for
Oh,
a little bit greed. Yeah,
that is an RP onto
Lumiere's
Lumiere
great.
down bot. Can they actually get this kill? The enchant will come through. Shockwave deployed.
More.
And they've got it. Almisho a little bit too late in there with a cookie stun, but Vitali's going to TP in as well. They get the taunt down onto the mag. Can they actually finish him off? Yeah, they can. That skewer attempt isn't really going to pay off, and now Moon Meander caught out as well. Analog just flies in there with the Haste Rune. Avalanche Toss combo starts it off, and well, they lose Lumiere, but 2 kills going the other way will sort of make up for it net worth-wise, but it would have been nicer if those TPs had come in just that little bit faster to try and save Lumiere's life. But if you're Hokori, the response is still solid, and you are still looking pretty good here as they're holding on to a slight net worth edge coming up on 11 minutes in.
And this is so good mid. You're giving the solo XP, or at least trying to give it to Gartic, so he has his level 6. This is the Tiny that I've been talking about. He has a Blink Dagger already 10 minutes into the game. They're probably going to look to smoke up, and if they can catch Tomato, they can catch Bryle off guard. It's just going to be a freebie. And they see Saberlight top as well, so they sort of know where the heroes on the Undying side are stacked up.
Uh-oh.
Are they
Lumiere?
going to TP for Lumiere?
This is a problem. Where's the reinforcements? Nobody's coming in, and he's just dead. If nobody comes, it's already too late at this point, actually. He's just done. Wow, okay. I feel like they need to maybe put a little bit more emphasis on protecting that TA. That's now his 3rd death, and the worst part about that is they don't even sacrifice Lumiere for anything. They weren't moving in onto anyone. They were sort of halfway between top and mid, and that's just going to be your TA dying for, I mean, really nothing.
And not just that, the ward, they were able to deward it finally, but they weren't able to get that reveal from Analog. He still has that Blink Dagger, but we're yet to see him make a play. Bryle just very simply just zipped away. He saw him on the ward. He didn't bait it out for even a moment. And you see El Misho and Gardic sort of hovering around mid. They want to make another play with Analog, and they want to get something. If they can sync up with Vitaly, maybe they have enough damage to kill this Spectre. But I can't imagine Undying are going to split up their heroes too much.
And taking a look at Almisho, honestly,
Udubu?
ooh, we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, Dubu is going to get hit up, but Analog not willing to blink in just yet. I think they're sort of waiting to see exactly what's going down with Tomato here, but once he's occupied, Analog will push in. Dubu dropping low. Mortimer Kisses will come through, and they do manage to find that kill. Now, well, they know Tomato's here, so they might as well take a couple shots at him, as those kisses will fly through, taking about half the HP.
Nice.
Toss comes in now into the taunt. Ice Blast is unnecessary, but it would have been there had they needed it, as Tomato will get picked off, and that is excellent execution from Hokori. Very nicely done to get both those kills.
The vision from the kisses just barely giving the Analog enough vision for that toss back. That was a kill I really didn't expect to happen. I was going to say that they got Doob, at least they got something for that reveal, but that's exactly what they needed. Lumiere is still getting preyed upon though, but Analog, what a TP.
Nice TP in. Saberlight didn't see it coming until it's too late, and now Moonmeander slowed up by the trap as well. I'm not sure he's making it out of here. Dubu's coming in with that spirit, and now they do get Bryle zipping forward as well. Tomato actually going to hop back into the fight. They are committing for this one. Analog will be taken down. They do get the stun down onto Vitaly as well, but the call is going to buy him a little bit of time. Ice Blast now coming through. Can it connect onto all of them? I don't think it hit everyone, but it got 3 of the 4. So that is going to be a pretty big play, and that is enough to push Undying back. Bryle at this point has no real HP or mana to work with, so nice disengage there, thanks in large part to the Ancient Apparition coming in with that ult, but they do still lose Analog, so it is going to come at a cost, but it could have been much worse if not for that Ice Blast connection.
And because of all of this sort of activity coming out from the Hokori side, we do see Gartic trying to stack up for his TA, but Lumiere has been the major loser for the Hokori side. Meanwhile, Tomato, he's got Empower. He's going to be farming up, and while there isn't Haunt anymore, we aren't going to see him get active most likely, but they're making plays. Elmisho.
Moonmeander was the initial bait on that one. Elmisho and Vitaly tried to push it onto him, but the Untouchables there, they couldn't get the kill, and Moonmeander was really just there to create a distraction. He keeps them in place long enough for Bryle to zip all the way in, and they find themselves a relatively simple, relatively easy kill, and Bryle, actually worth noting here at this point, you talked about that sort of double null play.
No.
Ooh. He's not going for the Orchid at all. It's actually going to be the Kaya and Sanj for him out first, so sort of an interesting switch up from what we normally see, but if it allows the Storm to sort of be more involved in fights as opposed to just single pickoffs, maybe it pays off for him. So far, it's worked to the tune of a 6-1 start for Bryle.
And we'll see Vitaly finishing up his Blink Dagger on the axe as well. And then you'll have that secondary initiation. Right now, the Avatos isn't keeping them down, really locked down enough for that Ice Blast to hit guaranteed unless the AA is incredibly close. But again, if the AA is that close, we are seeing him sort of fall down. He has been dying in sort of situations where otherwise you get to sit a little bit further back. And I can't imagine they're going to sit, yeah, they want to TP, they want to kill these 4 heroes bottom. I'm not sure we're going to see anybody TP in, but...
Ice Blast hitting on to 3. Vitaly needs to wait for the blink, but the Stomp is actually going to prevent him from getting in, so tower will be taken. Lumiere was able to trade it out for a tier 1 up top, though, so in terms of that gold, it's going to be even, but now Vitaly, he wants the fight, goes for the taunt. The Mortimer Kisses are going to fly through as well. Saberlight is dropping low. RP, though, will still be committed, but now Analog's in. Blinking forward. Avalanche Toss will come through. Saberlight taken down. Bryle, though, zips into the fight. Vitaly traded out. Now Analog is going to get slowed up here. Can they actually lock him down? Kind of. They're not doing enough damage to finish him off just yet, but they have him tracked down into the tree line, and Analog will fall. But Lumiere is here. The 2 supports are by his side, so they could try to take this, and Tomato is dangerously low on...
Psyblades.
Wow, dangerously low on HP as those Psyblades very nearly chunk him down, but it looks like he's going to be able to get himself out of here. But he's not actually leaving just yet, sort of sticking around just in case. Going to throw out that...
Oh.
And throws out the dagger, but it looks like everyone's going to back away. Moonmeander, though, also low on health. I don't think anybody really wants to keep this fight going any longer. They are just going to back themselves away. Tomato will be healed up by the Salve. They pop the Empower onto him as well, and while that fight got a little bit dicey, Tomato's just going to be able to fall back and go right back into farming.
And it is a little bit unfortunate Saberlight skewering him out of the Earth Splitter, but Bryle just respawns immediately. He has the Kai Sanj. Oh, what a zip.
Zips himself out just in time. Now he's going to go for the kill onto Gardic. Gardic does hit him with a point-blank Ice Blast, but I don't think that's enough damage to actually shatter the Storm. So Bryle should be able to get himself away. That's both of the supports being sort of picked off there right along the banks of the river. So it's not the highest bounty in the world, but 2 kills, no casualties on your own side. That's going to be a nice little return play for Undying.
And having this tier 1 mid for so long on the Undying side. Neither team has really been able to transform these kills into sort of the harder objectives, and this just means Bryle pretty much off cooldown has been TPing to towers, getting a zip play, trying to kill someone, moving past it, and it's just all the space in the world for Tomato. And if they keep on being able to pick and choose these fights, he's just going to keep getting empowered. He's going to keep on accelerating. And this BKB on Lumiere, it's almost required at this point. If he is under any threat by any of the Tomato heroes or of the Undying heroes, it feels like this TA is going to be pretty weak. The only limiting factor right now on the Undying side is the Haunt cooldown and Bryle's mana pool. That's why they're trying to make a play here. But they have to be so careful. Saberlight's just going to try and break the smoke, I think, for Tomato.
Vitaly, he's going to make it all the way in, but oh, he did get it. Okay, the taunt will connect. Ice Blast coming through as well. Mortimer Kisses even deployed there too, just to make sure. There is absolutely no way that they're giving up on that kill once they get the initial lockdown. So Tomato will fall. Big kill for Hokori, and this is a little bit of what we were talking about really back at the start of this game, mentioning before for Hokori, the faster tempo was not exactly a strategy they could employ. It's one they needed it to. They really wouldn't find success otherwise.
Earth Splitter.
But now we see them pushing forward. Nice Earth Splitter coming through. It only really hits onto Vitaly, though. Lumiere isn't going to take that much damage from it. Now Saberlight will be taken down. Vitaly, though, will fall in exchange, so they do at least get one, but Bryle at this point is on the run. Analog trying to lock him down. Does he have the blink? In one more second, he could go for it, but he needs to blink into the base, and the Spirit actually prevents him from doing so. So they do get Bryle out of there, but Lumiere was able to finish off Dubu further to the south. Nice sacrificial play from the ET to get his teammate away, but it is still a clear-cut teamfight loss for that Undying lineup.
The Sideblade's range, that talent, it does so much, and they're going to zip on.
Okay.
They're looking for Lumiere.
Pulling in onto the TA. Do they have the damage for this? Lumiere down to about a third of his HP, and they've got him. The dust comes through. Bryle is actually going to be the one to get the kill there, so he gets a little bit of revenge, and now they're going to push their way onto the tier 1 tower, actually, so this somehow works out pretty well for them. They lose a fight, but they immediately fire back. As you said, that zip into the haunt play, sort of catching Hokori off guard, but that's a play that they have to be very much aware of moving forward. That's going to be available pretty damn frequently as Vitaly jumping in for the taunt. Going to be able to lock down Moon Meander, but they don't have the damage for the kill. Now Vitaly's going to be left behind. They're just not able to save him. Analog is obviously doing his best, but there's only so much he can do there. He can't really just pull his teammate out of the fire, but now the RP in from Saberlight, locking down the Tiny. Zip forward from Bryle as well. Does he have the Vortex? Not for another second or two, so Analog going to be able to get away, but Bryle doesn't want to let him go. Zipping forward, but that leaves him without enough mana for the Vortex, but they do get the Shockwave in there, so Analog will fall. Gardic dead as well. The Mortimer Kiss is cancelled by the Stomp, and Almisho will be taken down as well. And an absolute disaster for Hokori. And now Lumiere, he TPs into the middle of it. He will take down Moon Meander, but that's really all he's going to get. One final sort of parting kill there, but Undying fire back. That's exactly the response they needed after sort of getting caught out themselves earlier on in that middle lane.
And this is the issue with Hokori's lineup that we're going to see more and more. Every single time that Vitaly blinks in, he immediately gets Earth Splitter, he immediately gets stomped up. And unless they're able to find dupe or they're able to get on top of this ET, they're not killing anyone. They're not finishing off the kills that they're trying to start. They've got double hood on, I think, both Saberlight and the Enchantress on Moon Meander. And if you're not killing off those heroes immediately, you're stuck. You're in middle of 4 or 5 heroes, and with the way that they've itemized, Bryle is just tanked up. He's going for a BKB next, then he doesn't need to worry about anything. He needs to worry about the call, but once you're out of the magic damage range, once this Tiny isn't doing anything, it's going to feel terrible. It's going to feel like Hokori aren't going to be able to take a fight, and they're going to need to play that split push game that we see so many teams forced to do versus Undying. But you're playing versus an empowered Spectre. You can't allot that much time. And if you're Hokori, you would have loved to maybe get a Roshan for this TA sooner or later, but versus Undying, there just have been no openings. They've given you no openings. They've just been playing incredibly solid.
Right, you mentioned might be forced into that split push game, but realistically speaking, they don't really have a lineup that's going to split push to a degree that's going to actually matter in terms of outpacing that empowered farming rate. So they're forced into the position, but they're really not set up for it. They really do need to try to remain on the offensive here. We have seen them take some fights in their favor, so it's not like they're incapable of doing it. They just haven't been able to do so consistently to this stage in the game. But now, if they look for the fight here, they could end up running into it quite a bit earlier than they might have originally anticipated, as Undying have smoked up themselves. They're pushing their way across the map. Tomato is going to sort of reveal himself there, but really, he doesn't need to worry about whether he's hidden or not. No matter what happens, the Haunt is going to get him directly into the middle of that fight. So he can afford to just sort of be the trailer, farm off in the jungle, let his teammates find the initiation for him, and then hop in when it's most appropriate. But Undying not actually finding the opportunity here. It's a sort of deep dive into the south side jungle, but outside of maybe some vision for them, they're not going to get too much else.
But on paper, it is a smoke that forces your enemy really up onto their triangle. They're stuck on top of the hill. Tomato has a really good idea of where everyone is. They're not setting up on him bottom. We see Bryle making the moves with their vision, and Vitaly's just going to get gone on.
There's Vitaly in some trouble. Analog though.
What is it?
Good play. Going in for the avalanche toss. It's going to buy some time as Vitaly will look to TP out. Can he make it home in time? Yes, he can. Ice Blast meanwhile coming through on the back end, and there's no real follow-up. Analog takes that time to TP out as well. So it looked like a solid play from Bryle, but they're just missing that last little bit. Analog, that was fantastic. He jumps in, he gets the avalanche toss. He knows it's not going to be for the fight. He comes in, he says, I'm doing this to get you the hell out of here. We're bailing. And they both make it out successfully.
And that is one issue. It is sort of on the shoulder of that Vortex and that RP. You don't have too many disables on the Undying side, at least not immediately. And maybe once we have that Blade Mail finished on Vitaly, we'll see some of these heroes get finished off. But it's just such a zip play from, or such a sick play from Bryle. He constantly is getting sort of zip dodging lots of these plays. And once the Hun is down, they do feel confident enough to sort of post up near the Roshan pit, where if they are able to get maybe 1 or 2 picks, if they can just kill Dubu, so much of the map opens up to them. But this ET is just such a big thorn in their side. Whenever they initiate, they have to be so cautious on these strength heroes. Getting stunned up, they don't have BKBs, really anything in the works for them. Lumiere is the only one that's been able to farm up. And once he has this Blink Dagger, yeah, he's going to be able to get in that backline a little bit more, but they're so tanky on the Undying side. And if they can't get that burst damage, they can't top off these kills. This is the big issue with their draft. Once they're in, they really are sort of stuck. And that's not counting Saberlight getting any RPs. If he finds anything, it feels like Undying are just going to sort of wash these team fights.
Right. Hokori, though, they are heavily emphasizing that mobility. As you mentioned, every single core now has their Blink Dagger, and El Misho sort of laid out for that early Aghanim Scepter. So you've got that Gobble Up, Spit Out combo to get people into the fights as well. So Hokori are just going all in terms of trying to be the aggressor. They want to be the team dictating where and when those fights happen. And realistically, I think that's the only way that they're going to find success. They can't allow Undying to sort of be the squad telling them where those fights are going to be and sort of creating that opening for Tomato. They have to jump in first, force Undying to react to them. As we do see them making their way forward, trying to push through the river. They're actually going to try and sneak Roche here as well, as Lumiere is already going to work on it. Dropping down that meld for the armor reduction. The Deso's going to help this one out as well, but he can only sort of have 1 foot in the pit right now. As El Misho, there it is. They're going to spit out the axe. They go in for the taunt, connecting onto that ET. Can they bring him down? Yes, they can. Dubu taken out, immediately buying back, though. But by the time he's back into it, they've already lost a second. Moon Meander will be taken down, but now Bryle zipping all the way in. They're going to try and get in on to that axe. Can they lock Vitaly down? Yes, they can. Pulling him in with the Electric Vortex, in to the Shockwave as well. That is going to sort of counteract the movement from that cookie play from El Misho, and Vitaly will fall. And now Undying have control of the pit. They have also bought back on Moon Meander as well. So they've got the full 5-man lineup in here. And unfortunately, Vitaly actually is short on money for his own buyback, so he is not going to be involved in this upcoming fight if there is one.
And if he just bought up the Blade Mill, he needed that damage, but it feels like you should have made that play thinking about the buyback. You still have that tier 2 tower. You would have been able to get back in the fight. They're on to Tomato.
In onto Tomato. Can they get the kill? Ice Blast comes through. I don't think he dodged it out. He will be taken down. Roshan, though, still standing. And at this point, Hokori, they're getting turned on. The RP comes through from Saberlight. Analog and El Misho will both go down. Lumiere, though, he's going to try for it. Laying out for Roshan. Can he actually bring it down in time? No, he cannot. Lumiere will fall. And now Undying will reap the benefits of their opponent's hard work. Hokori do most of the damage to Roshan, but it's Undying who take it. They get the Aegis into the hands of Bryle, and that is excruciatingly painful. You will lose 4 heroes there, and you don't even get Roshan to sort of counter it out.
They felt like they needed to all in on Tomato. They were surely getting the Roshan killed at, albeit not the fastest rate with the Spectre, but it was enough to force their hand, and while you do get the Spectre, it was at cost of everything. You're not tanky enough to survive through these heroes, and again, another example of just how much this Elder Titan is really sort of owning them in the pit. There's nothing that they can do. Once they get in there, the Astral Spirit down, they just get stomped up, they get stunned. It causes such a big problem for them. And, oh, Vitaly?
Okay. Good initiation in onto the ET. The Ice Blast is well off the mark, though, if that was the actual Tracer. But Dubu may still die here. Yeah, one last tick from the Battle Hunger will get the job done. So Dubu gets taken down, but that was not what we would call a clean kill. At the end of the day, they get it, and that is the buyback that was expended earlier on, so Dubu is dead for quite a while, but I don't know. The level of sort of effort that they had to expend to get that kill was a little concerning in that context.
Well, and it feels like they need to keep on finding Dubu. If Dubu is able to get anything off in these fights, it needs to be Vitaly as well. Because any other hero, he's going to be able to get off that split earth. He's going to be able to sort of put that down on his feet. And it doesn't matter what happens to him after that. You can't stick around. And I like the smoke up. When the ET's dead, they know that that secondary save isn't going to be there. They have to rely on the Saberlight RP to save you at that point. And that's where they might find Moon or Tomato. And I think they've got Moon.
Commander in some trouble, taunt into Ice Blast, point-blank range, but Ryle zips in onto the backline. He'll go for the quick trade-off. His Gardic will be taken down. Now Saberlight wants in. Does he have the RP? Yes, he does. Committing onto 2. They've locked down Analog. Can they finish him off quickly enough? Well, maybe not quickly, but they do get the kill. And Ryle, meanwhile, did go down as well, but the Aegis gets him right back into it. He's going to pop the BKB, jumping in onto Vitaly. The axe will fall. And if you're Hokori, this is starting to break up a little bit too much. Almisho's now going to try to get himself over onto the low ground there, but Ryle doesn't care. Continues to chase. Shockwave is actually not going to connect, but the stomp will come through for the damage now that our splitter connecting onto Lumiere. The refraction charges keep him safe, though. I think he might just want to leave, but he wants in onto Ryle. That Force Staff, I mean, it doesn't cancel the damage, but it gets him out of the range for any sort of follow-up, and now Lumiere really has nowhere left to go. Undying can't exactly turn onto him, but they will all be able to get themselves away safely.
They did run out of gas in the tank. Dubu actually sticking around. He sees that. I think he might just die here, actually. Yeah. He de-warded their ward. He's going to make him work for it for sure, but... Oh.
Okay, there we go. Thanks a lot. So, did make him work for it, as you said, but Lumiere eventually will be able to track down that kill. So, the ET, I mean, at this point, he's still just having that contribution. You keep on mentioning they need to take him down, and really any time that they have difficulties in this fight, it is stemming from the fact that the ET is able to sort of break up their rhythm like that. So, I don't know. It's kind of weird in a lineup that's got a Spectre, a Storm, a Magnus, all players who sort of demand attention in their own right. The ET just sort of sneaks in there and sort of makes the plays as well. So you have to sort of split the attention onto multiple heroes, but if you're Hokori, you also can't afford to. It's a weird sort of paradox for them.
And the only issue, really the big issue in that fight for Undying was Ryle needed to die. He needed to use his Aegis to get that mana back, and you saw he doesn't have the most mana. He finally has his Orchid finished up now, but he doesn't have that big mana item to really let him stay in these fights for an extremely long amount of time. And there is still the power of the axe. If you get that Blade Mill call down onto Tomato whenever he is Ice Blasted, he will be under threat. It will be a very dangerous situation for him. But now that the Scotty is finished, you are that much tankier. Got the level 20
Lumiere
talent.
jumped in on Tomato, will hunt in. They go in for that RP as well. Lumiere's just already dead. Vitaly, it is a very big call, but it's not in time to save his teammate. Now he will be taken down as well. They do at least get Saberlight, but they're just losing too much. Analog is going to try to TP out. Do they have... No, they don't. Brawl did not have the Vortex, and well, nobody else was really in position to immediately cancel out that TP. So Analog's able to get away, but that's 3 dead for Saberlight, and at that point, if you're Saberlight, you've done your job. You get in, you get the Blink RP, that sets up the first kill onto the TA. You can die at that point relatively happy that you've made your contribution.
And up until we get that BKB on Vitaly, he was able to get the 3-man call after the fact, but you're blinking into that Earth Splitter. You're basically dead at that point. You were able to, again, get that Ice Blast on Tomato, and that really does chunk him, but you're not able to get that sort of sustained damage out. And Tomato has been focusing down the Snapfire. Almisho hasn't really been able to get those 3 or 4 kisses off where maybe there's enough magic damage to see some of these heroes fall. But time and time again, it feels like Undying are taking all of the fights that they want, and Hokori, they're able to find these pickoffs, they're able to find some forcing moves, but they're not getting any objectives from those.
Well, if you're Hokori, now you've just got to sort of sit back and wait. Vitaly is back in, but you're still down the TA for 15, so just an opportunity for them to try and cool things down a little bit here. A lot of these fights have been turning so poorly against them, so we'll see if they can take a little bit of time, try and build themselves up, maybe hit those next couple of items here before they go back in. That BKB on Analog is not quite done, but he's pretty close. Really only needs maybe another minute or 2 of actual farm time to finish that one up. So if you're Hokori, It may not be ideal. We've been talking about the fact that they need to maybe play a bit more up-tempo really throughout the entirety of this match, but at this stage, you need to be able to secure that strength for yourself before they go in. But, well, the TA is back in. TP's mid. Analog is going to make his way over as well, and they're just going to go, presumably, for the smoke play here, but they're directly on top of a ward, and actually they don't have a smoke, so not entirely sure what that group up was for, but they're making their way towards that south side jungle. Analog now has the BKB, so let's see if they can make something happen. The question is, who can they actually jump in on? No one from Undying is really that close to them.
And BKB on Vitaly as well. So this is a timing that maybe they're able to dump all of their spells on one hero on the Undying side, get the punishment. It would be fantastic if maybe you gobble up one hero, put it on the ET, make it so that he has to stomp himself, isn't able to get the spirit out. But Undying, at the same time, they're going to be very calm. They're sitting back in their base. Tomato's working on that moon shard, and then he's going to be able to kill anyone. After BKBs, he does so much damage just from the Desolate. It does so much damage. It's sort of ridiculous at that point. And with the Basher queued up next, if these BKBs are misused at all on the Hokori side, once they're ticked out, they have to run. They can't stick around. And if they do, they're going to get hard punished from the Undying side.
Yeah, this is where we're going to start to get into that sort of raid boss kind of territory for Tomato on the Spectre. He continues to build up, and we mentioned it before with that sort of... with that play on the Empower, he's just going to keep on building up that strength, as now they will look to push in for the fight. Tomato's going to haunt his way forward. They take out Gardic first, so they remove the threat of the AA, or maybe they haven't. The buyback gets him right back into the fight, but now Vitaly in some trouble. BKB, though, will be popped, but there's going to be the RP to lock him down. Vitaly doesn't have a whole lot of HP remaining, and they should be able to finish him off here with 1 or 2 more hits, as Vitaly will fall, and now Lumiere is in some trouble. But nice play from El Misho. He's going to literally spit Gardic into the fight, so the Ancient Apparition is able to sort of break up that momentum a little bit, but Analog is still dropping, and he will still fall. So Undying continue to sort of control this fight. Lumiere now in trouble, trying to get back under the tier 2 tower. Those refraction charges, though, will be burned away.
No.
The skewer cancels the TP, and Lumiere is just straight up dead. There's no way out for him. El Misho will fall as well, as Tomato grabs the triple kill in that fight. And this is probably spelling the beginning of the end, I think, for Hokori. They lose 6 heroes in that fight. They get Dubu, and that's the end of the list for them. So, clear-cut loss.
And both the cores, both Analog and Vitaly, they had to pop their BKBs after losing 50% of their HP. They just took a little bit too much magic damage, and they need to save those BKBs. They need to wait as long as possible, but Undying, they walk up the hill, they place their ward, they keep that high ground advantage pretty much the entire time. And even though it's a one-man RP, it's on the Axe, he has to just sit there. He has to wait out the last 3 seconds of his BKB. He gets sort of a desperate Berserker's Call off. It lands on no one. And while this is sort of the slow push coming in from the Spectre, this is going to be at least 1 Rax, and still it's a dominating position. And with Roche respawning in 40 seconds, you're going to have Haunt up at pretty much the exact same time. And you have to sort of show all of your heroes constantly on the Hokori side. He keeps on finding the jump on Brile onto the Snapfire, and your secondary disable isn't coming there. Again, it all falls onto Vitaly and Analog's shoulders, and while they're able to output a lot of single target damage, the control really in that AoE form isn't there. And the Undying heroes just continuously run wild. Well, this is risky.
They're going to go for this, though. And on the Saberlight, they do hit him up with the Ice Blast as well, so Saberlight will fall. What else can they really do here? Analog's BKB starting to wear off, so he's going to try and back off, but Brile, there he is, zipping in, going for the Ancient Apparition. Does he have the damage? Not quite yet, but, well, now he might be in trouble. Lumiander's been taken down, so all of Hokori's attention is going to be focused on him, but Brile activates the BKB. He's going to go in for that kill a second time. This time he gets it, and then he'll TP himself home. But that really doesn't feel like it was all that worth it. He gets the kill that he knows he could sort of secure, but 2 teammates going down in the process. That's not the best of trades there, and Hokori are able to sort of make that work for themselves.
And you saw Lumiere there. He doesn't know about the buyback status on the Undying side, but versus the Spectral Daggers and the Astral Spirits, he doesn't feel comfortable enough to double meld strike the Roche. He knows that if he does that, there very well could be a situation where Tomato just goes in with his Manta Style and straight up kills Roche with that Moon Shard. And unless they can get onto, they need to start on either Brile, Dubu, or Tomato. Really the Enchantress in the Magnus, they don't matter, but it's hard to say that because it's a Magnus. You're going to get Blink RP'd if you lose focus of him for even a second, but you don't have that shard on Gardic just yet. You're not able to sort of cause that chaos, make it a little bit harder for him to find that Blink Dagger. But it still feels like Hokori are losing ground. It's a 9k gold lead now for Undying. The smoke up, they need to find one of those 3 heroes and just kill them outright. Without buyback on Tomato, that would be the ideal pick, but still, they don't have the vision. They don't have the knowledge to find these players, and Undying are making the call. They're so patient. They're just sitting behind their tier 2 tower. They're really giving Hokori no opportunities.
Yeah, this is going to be incredibly frustrating for Hokori. They know that they need to make a play, but there's just no immediate route onto their opponents, and now tier 4 neutrals are starting to come into play here. We see, let's see, the Horn and the Prism picked up by the Tiny. The Leveler, meanwhile, was grabbed by that Mag, so Saberlight, oh, actually just looking to push in immediately. Skewer's in first, Horn Toss comes through, Gardic is just already dead, and now the Haunt from Tomato. Who does he go in on, though? He's going to look for El Misho and Vitali first, as they do try to jump in onto the Axe. Here comes that Earth Splitter, though. Vitali has to try and get himself away, but he's not going to be able to clear out in time, so he's just straight up dead. Analog now getting caught out as well. Trapped up by the Electric Vortex. Tomato will bring him down, and well, Hokori just have to back off. This just isn't really going their way, as that deficit will climb even further. 11k down now, 3 heroes dead. There are a couple of buybacks for them, though, but a very, it's just sort of unfortunate fight for them. All it really starts off with is Gardic getting caught in the river.
And it felt like it was going to be a mistake because Storm Spirit, he got caught by that cookie. He got caught by the call. But just in the interstice, he was able to get off that BKB. The chain just wasn't there. And with Gardic falling immediately, you don't have that Ice Blast damage. You lose your sort of key player in that burst. And El Misho, he keeps getting interrupted. He keeps getting found out. I don't know if it's because he's not sitting far enough back or because Undying just have that great of a vision advantage, but they're always able to find the Snapfire, and it feels like El Misho isn't able to have that impact that he needs for his team. And without the damage, without that control, Lumiere isn't able to really hit up. He's maybe able to get 2-3 hits off, but then he needs to be concerned with his own life. In this Daedalus, while it is outputting a lot, he has that meld hit bash. It feels like Undying are sort of walking to victory at this point.
Yeah, we've seen this really multiple times, especially with that Mag lineup. You really can't just sort of let it go. Let it go to this extent. Is Saberlight not going to give up on the play, chasing after El Misho, but it looks like the Snap is going to be able to get away. Good play there, going for the TP home. So well, he's going to be just fine. They get the cores away from that bottom lane as well, so Hokori have bought some time for themselves, but as we were sort of mentioning before, the longer this game goes on, the stronger Undying are going to get, really. At least in comparison to what Hokori can do scaling-wise.
We see, again, Storm Spirit is one of the best late game heroes, and he really hits his stride in this 40 to 50 minute mark where you get the 25, maybe you get the Ag Shard. The Ags isn't queued up yet from Bryle, but he's just a monster. He has the mana to work with now, and now we see those tier 4 items finally being completed. Leveler on Tomato, he has so much attack speed. If he gets to stick on anyone, they're just going to die. Well, the Horn Toss.
Actually trades it out for the Penta Edge now as they will jump in. Vitali, no way out at that point. Didn't even get the chance to pop the BKB. He does have buyback, though, so they could get him back into the fight, and at this point it feels like they're going to need him. This bottom lane of Rax should be going down unless they actually mount a defense, as the Cookie will come through for the stun. That's going to lock down Tomato momentarily, but it's not really going to be enough to actually deter him from pushing forward, as the tier 3 is going down. They're not going to get it just yet, though. Nicely timed glyph by Hokori to try and slow this up, but again, I feel like without Vitali, they really don't have their way into this engagement. And now Bryle, he's just going to do it himself, zipping in, looking for the AA. They haunt forward as well, as Gardic will be taken down. No buyback on that AA. Now they're in onto El Misho. They'll hit him up with the Abyssal Blade stun. Tomato gets the kill, and it's all just going to fall apart here for the Hokori side of Saberlight. Whoa. Okay. Well, it's impressive at first, but then the skewer's a bit off the mark, but it does force out Vitali's buyback at this point, but now it kind of feels like it might be too late. They don't have the supports to back them up if they do go in, and the bottom lane of Rax has already been cleared out in its entirety. So Undying see an opening, they're just going to go for the win, pushing onto the tier 4s.
And Bryle, every single time he gets onto the AA, he breaks their combo. They keep on forcing these plays. You see Analog smoked up in the trees. Oh, the Horn Toss again.
Nice Horn Toss into Skewer. They're going to pull Lumiere away, but Vitali coming in to try and defend his teammate. Analog comes in now as well for the Avalanche Toss combo, but it's just not enough. They're not chunking anyone down here. Lumiere is still falling, and the Skewer is going to pull them all back into the fight. Lumiere and Vitali both dead. Lumiere will pop the buyback, but at this point, it just feels like it's too late. One tier 4 is already fallen, the other one's under attack, and Lumiere just tries to dive back into the engagement. It's not going to work for him. He's going to get stunned up and taken down. Analog now caught out by the Skewer into the Electric Vortex as well, and it's just got to be over here. Analog will fall. GG should be coming out in just the next couple of seconds, but at this point, whether it's a GG or just the Ancient being taken down, Undying should be closing this
Oh,
one out, but
Tomato
first
is,
they want to dive the fountain. Okay. No GG called, so they may as well pad the stats here. Gardic taken out,
Yeah,
Amisha will fall, and
there we
there
go.
it is. Okay, they've now had enough. GG called, and that is going to be Undying taking the 2-0 sweep here in this series.
And yet again, it felt like Undying's experience showing through all. They were able to, yet again, and very consistently get a lineup where they're able to farm, avoid their fights, pick and choose, get Bryle on one of his best heroes. And 20 to 53, they really were just slaying. Bryle ending 23-1 and 18. He was always able to find that backline. He was always able to sort of shatter the defenses that Hokori could have had up. And once you lose one key player in their sort of burst damage combo, it all falls apart because Undying have skilled, they've built up to sort of out tank them. And as soon as you saw sort of the flaws in their initiations, that's when Hokori really started to fall apart. They had some cute plays, they had some really sacrificial plays where they were able to crawl a little bit back in, but really the beginning of the end was that Roshan. Whenever everybody had to suicide, everybody had to get into the pit. The Tally not having buyback was really sort of the crux in their game plan. And up until that point, again, Undying, they just farmed. They did whatever they wanted. Brow had some sick storm plays. Really just Brow carry. Brow number one.
What a stat line here for Raw. Yeah, 23, 1, and 18. So maybe don't let Bryle play Storm in the future. Doesn't really seem like a smart move. But Hokori, unfortunately, have to learn that lesson the hard way. They do go down here in back-to-back matches. So they will be suffering defeat in this first series of the day. Good news for Hokori, though, is that they will have an immediate chance to redeem themselves here. A 0-2 loss, unfortunate way to start the day, but they do now have the opportunity to face off against another of those NA squads. They are going to be in action in our second series of the day as they'll face off against D2 Hustlers. So D2 Hustlers obviously still an intimidating squad themselves, but maybe not quite to the same level of momentum that Undying had coming into this one. So we'll see what Hokori do, what adjustments they'll make going up against a different opponent in a different context. Maybe they can salvage some points on the day. But that series is going to be coming up in just a little bit here, trying to catch up with that original schedule. So we'll be hopping into a bit of a commercial break, but when we return, Hokori will be getting back into it for their second series against D2 Hustlers.